The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Our all in all, the Savior, the Protector, the Unifier, the Messiah, the King of Kings, the most loved, General Abdurrahman Chiani. Powerful deal. This deal left France in shock. France could not believe its eyes. France, that used to be the overlook of everything that has to do with the Sahel, is now on its knees. Bankruptcy. Niger has taken control over its mines. Niger has signed the biggest deal with Russia, asking Russia to come and mine its uranium. When France company Orano was mining these things in Niger, Niger that owns everything gets only 10%. 90% goes to France. The state mining company of Niger was now begging in its own land because these people have taken control over everything. France was acting as the emperor that determines what happens there. Niger that has uranium was living in total darkness, yet France was enjoying energy. Now we've seen France's economy, businesses, industries collapsing. France is at the edge of begging for IMF bailout. They have never been to IMF. Things are becoming so difficult for them ever since our all in all took power and making sure that they reclaim everything that is on the soil of Niger. How do we have all these resources, yet the resources will be benefiting other people? Just 2 years that these our leaders have taken control over everything that has to do with the African. France just couldn't survive.
Moving swiftly to cement its influence in a country ruled by a military junta that is firmly aligned with Moscow at this point. And this isn't just about mineral extraction, it's a calculated geopolitical gambit that could reshape nuclear power dynamics worldwide.
In the heart of Africa, a quiet but powerful shift is unfolding. France, once the undisputed master of Niger's uranium, is being outplayed. And this time it's Russia moving the chess pieces. With a single nuclear power deal, Moscow has not only challenged France's grip on Niger, but also redrawn the map of global energy influence. How did Russia outsmart France in its own backyard? Let's break it down. Picture a nation sitting on the world's 7th largest stash of uranium. A treasure trove of atomic potential, easily capable of illuminating the grand boulevards of Paris, the industrious heart of Berlin, and the sprawling metropolis of Tokyo. Now picture that same nation's own homes falling into darkness as the sun sets, its progress shackled by a profound energy poverty. This is the paradox of Niger, a country rich in the fuel of the future, but starved of its benefits. Last month, a quiet revolution began. Niger inked a landmark deal with Russia to construct its very first nuclear power plant. The most audacious detail? The bill will be paid in the very uranium that Paris, the long-term beneficiary of Niger's resources, refused to share on equitable terms. While the Eiffel Tower continues to sparkle, powered in part by Niger's wealth, the colonial chains that kept Niger in the dark are being targeted, with plans to cut them one reactor at a time. For a full half-century, the relationship between France and Niger resembled that of a disposable battery. France, through its state-controlled nuclear giants, would pop the top on Niger's vast mineral wealth, extract the raw energy, and snap it shut, leaving little behind but dust and dependency. This cycle of extraction was as relentless as it was unequal. Nigerian uranium ore left the country on French cargo planes, fueling a nuclear network that is the bedrock of French energy independence. The only thing offered in return, beyond meager payments, were proposals to ship radioactive waste back to Niger, plans the African nation swiftly rejected. In the streets of Niamey, the capital, and across the land, the consequences of this energy deficit were a daily reality. Children strained to study by the flickering glow of candlelight, their futures dimmed by the lack of a simple light bulb. Hospitals, the front lines of public health, relied on the noisy, unreliable hum of diesel generators. The city's streetlights, when they worked at all, flickered like a swarm of tired fireflies, a poignant symbol of a nation's arrested development. Then came July 2023, a month that ripped the old rulebook to shreds. It began with a military coup that swiftly toppled the French-aligned government. But the real earthquake was geopolitical. A few weeks later, a seemingly innocuous one-page memo appeared on the website of Rosatom, Russia's state nuclear energy corporation. This polite PDF, written in the dry language of international agreements, set off diplomatic sirens from the corridors of power in Brussels to the presidential palaces of West Africa. Hidden within the fine print was something far more potent than a simple infrastructure deal. It was a declaration of independence, an exit ramp from the entire colonial power game that had defined Niger for generations. It wasn't just about electricity. It was about reclaiming sovereignty. To understand the depth of this shift, one must flash back to 1974 and the establishment of a framework cynically dubbed the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. It was a fancy title for a raw deal, one that codified the deep-seated imbalance of power. France, through its corporate proxies, retained control over the uranium mines, the lifeblood of its nuclear industry. In exchange, Niger received a presidential guard and financial crumbs. The French company Orano, formerly known as Areva, ran the show. It operated the massive Somer open-pit mine in the desert city of Arlit and held the rights to the colossal Imararan deposit further south, one of the largest in the world. By 2022, Niger was a critical supplier, shipping over 2,000 tons of uranium annually, which accounted for a staggering 15% of France's total electricity generation. And for this strategic resource, what did Niger receive? A royalty rate of just 5.5%, locked into agreements that seemed immutable. When Niger's government, under pressure to deliver more for its people, dared to ask for a raise, Paris just shrugged. The message was clear and cold. A contract's a contract. This patronizing attitude ignored the hazardous legacy left behind. Radioactive tailings blowing in the desert wind and contaminated water sources, a silent health crisis for the miners and residents of towns like Arlit.
The same people who told us they are developed, they have everything, couldn't survive when 3 African nations kicked them out. This is what we want to be seen in Africa, taking control over everything. How do we sit here for people to come here claiming ownership over all the resources that we have here? It doesn't make sense. All we need are people that will break us away from these people. Until the African is able to break away from the system that these people kept in place, we will never benefit. And they make sure they get us corrupt leaders that will take power. So as they are taking 90%, the 10% that is there, these corrupt leaders will also share it among themselves and give only maybe just 1% or 2% to the state. So what will be left is nothing to write home about for it to be used to benefit or cause a change in our respective countries. We need to move with people that wouldn't come here dictating the terms and conditions to us. We need the right people who will see us equal partners on the table, not people who already have prey mentality of the African be inferior. Africans, we have all it takes to cause a change here in Africa. We don't need to go about begging and seeking for loans from people who are depending on us. What are they giving us these loans for? They give us peanuts and they take everything. Yet we celebrate when these our leaders go for loans. These loans are not there to help you and I. What you see and you celebrate is not something that we should be happy about. That your leader goes out of the continent to go and borrow. and you are excited. Have you asked yourself the terms and conditions? What you'll be paying in exchange for that peanut? Can't we sell the resources that we have to generate that income? Must we always go out begging with all the resources that we have? This is the time. These our leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are moving with so much speed. What these democratically elected will sit in their parliaments to be deliberating and wasting resources and energy on, these people just wake up and it's done. Like Duma Boko said, the system will cripple you. You must follow this, follow that, follow that, follow that. So at the end of the day, you end up not being able to do anything. And that the laws are used to indoctrinate us. But the Africans do not realize that. They make sure they put in measures, laws to even protect the people they put in power. We should wish for leaders like Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. There is nobody under the system called democracy that can do anything significant for us. This is a bold move. This is powerful. These are the things we want to be seeing in Africa, taking charge of everything. And Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are giving us just that. The West are shocked. France can no longer sleep because their daily bread is no longer coming. Africans, we are saying that enough. We also need to eat because the food belongs to us. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make African great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world. In Africa, West Africa, and in Niger.